Camberhouse.
Give me my respect.
Just have done what we just did. Everyone notice James's glasses?
All right.
You're going for the Clark Kent?
Okay. Calm down, everybody.
The hair and everything.
I
This
know,
guy.
right? Superman. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Camberhouse podcast. It's been a hot minute.
Way too long.
A lot of action to talk about. Obviously, coming off the bat of RallyBarbados and King of the Hill. Mm-hmm. Jay, how was it for you? For those who don't know, me and Jeremy spent the entire weekend together.
We did indeed. And that's
No.
that's a bit of an understatement, to be honest. I mean, we were literally from morning till night.
Yeah.
Because we deal with the R5 Championship.
Right. For those that don't know, we are, I suppose, the rights holders of the R5 Rally Championship.
Yeah, which is like a fancy way of saying we make all the pretty R5 Championship stuff.
And content, yeah.
Yeah.
And try to control a bunch of old men that doesn't exist.
Herding cats.
Yeah. So, Jay, King of the Hill, going into King of the Hill, what were your expectations? One, from an R5 point of view. And what were you looking to see?
Man, it was just, to be completely honest with you, I think especially what we had seen in an event that had run a couple of weeks previous, I was just excited to see like crowd turnout, how many people would be out on the stage. I think it became quite clear to us that everybody, or certainly motorsport fans in Barbados, were hungry for some action again.
Yeah.
COVID has obviously put a damper in it, and it's been a while.
Yeah, shout out to all the fans that came out for both weekends, because I thought it was freaking amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know what the overall figures would look like, but I thought King of the Hill was nuts, and just the stages themselves at Rally were
crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think King of the Hill was I really liked what the Rally Club did with the layout. I thought like the road section was good. Obviously, inside Vaucluse is always fun because it's just insanely slippery.
I'm not sure the drivers would agree with you.
Well, maybe not, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, for the at the end of the day, they're part of a product, and I think what the Rally Club delivered on a product level was good. And like Vaucluse was a great place for just to see like crowd energy and atmosphere.
For sure.
And it was clear that, everybody was just fired up. The friggin' Land Rover man won over all of Barbados' hearts.
Listen, I watched his first run, and he was like quicker than all 20 cars that came after him. The man was actually like pinning it.
Yeah, he was sick, man. He was like a friggin' legend. I remember standing in Vaucluse with you, and the first time we saw him, I'm like, how is this thing not turning over?
Yeah. Well, he said it was tires. The tires that he uses.
But still, it's insane to see a Land Rover being driven like that. But King of the Hill was good, man. I thought overall it was a good. For the R5s, it was amazing.
There was, and guys, we'll give you some insight into like behind the scenes. There was a lot of talk beforehand that some people were going to take it easy because they didn't want to be first on the road. They wanted road position for RallyBarbados. Do you think that was true, or that?
I don't know. I mean, if it was true, they either went against what they told us that they were considering. Yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody ever said to us, certainly in the R5 camp, like outright, I don't want to win King of the Hill.
Yeah.
And I think even Sean Maloney commented that, maybe being fastest at King of the Hill might not be the best for RallyBarbados, but he also then said, once the helmet goes on, plans go to shit.
Exactly,
and you just drive as fast as you can. And that was certainly Zane's intention. He got off to a rough start in the first run.
Yeah, he did. He obviously hit...
he hit like a bin and like flew off the road.
Exactly. I mean, congratulations to Zane. I thought that King of the Hill was a big moment for us, obviously, as R5 as a group. But I thought he was excellent on the day. He drove amazing. It was a good battle between him and Stewart.
And Frank Burr, dude.
Right, and Frank was super quick.
He had so much pace. Yeah. It was actually shocking, and that carried over into RallyBarbados the following weekend. But I was just blown away with how quick he was out the gates, real fast.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a very talented driver.
Of course.
As a GTA.
But,
he just
never been here before,
And for those that follow Frank, he just came second in GT this past weekend. I can't remember if it's in Assen or no, he's in Spa, so he was second. Nice. So podium in their first drive in the AMG,
good for him,
which is pretty cool. So King of the Hill, it was an interesting one for us because, as people might think that we actually watch rally all the time, we didn't actually really get to watch any of it because we were running between interviewing drivers. Anything to stick out for you in terms of interviews or anything from that day?
I think it was cool to see again, like we had two newcomers, which were Josh and Ben. I think it was cool to see their kind of build throughout just 4 runs. And it was tricky because obviously 2 of the 4 runs were wet. Or, well, 2.5, 3 of the 4 runs were wet.
Yeah.
So it was interesting because obviously the wet runs were a wash because Vaucluse is already slippery to start with, and in the rain it's even worse. And they were on slicks because they didn't put on inters or wets.
Yeah.
But I think just to see, like, on the 2 dry runs that they did get, the huge jump in their times was
Yeah,
I
it was
think,
huge.
cool to see.
I thought Josh, I mean, we'll get to Rally-Barbados in a minute. And obviously, part of today's podcast, you're going to get to hear from the likes of Roger Hill, Josh Read, and Ben Hartling about what they thought of Rally-Barbados and King of the Hill. But I think Josh, obviously, my driver of the week, Zane for King of the Hill.
What about you? What did you like about King of the Hill? What shocked you?
I don't know if I was glad to see how competitive the class was. It was very tight.
Oh, this tastes horrible.
Really?
It was nasty. It tastes like I'm drinking. It's like somebody's pressed cucumbers into the. Oh, it's horrible. Sorry, go ahead.
Side note. I thought it was really close. Obviously, Rob Swan and the Impreza was a bit of a story for us because he had chosen not to drive the R5 and go ahead with the Impreza, which I don't think, he wanted to win Rally-Barbados and he felt that was the best car for him to do it. So a little side chuckle that the gearbox went on him. And
I think the rest of the R5 guys gave him some good heat for that.
Absolutely.
I felt, to be completely honest with you, I obviously felt a bit bad for him.
Yeah.
But he ended up having a great Rally-Barbados in the R5.
He did for sure.
So, which I guess we'll come around to that. But
yeah. I thought maybe Dane Skeet probably left a little bit, away from King of the Hill. I thought he probably was just very measured in his approach and knew what he wanted to do. And Dane's a great driver. So, I thought it was a great event. It was awesome to have First Citizens sponsor. I thought it did a good job. And I thought it set us up really well for Rally-Barbados.
Yeah, for sure.
And this is like, you and I will both know. We'll get to the stories of Jeremy and I on the road because I was fired up, especially when the first time started to come through for Rally-Barbados. Yeah. And to see, I think Josh was second quickest in the first stage. Yeah. That turn, I was with Neil Bernard about this.
And for those of you that don't know, when we went for Rally-Barbados and for King of the Hill, the Rally Club implements a technology called Rally Safe, and it means that we get times instantaneously. So as soon as a car crosses the finish line, we just refresh the app and the stage times are in. So as we're going through today and trying to do updates for social media and whatever, it makes our job a lot easier because we get instant times. But it also helps keep the excitement very high in the car when we're sitting down just waiting for times to come in, because as you said, when we saw that first time from Pickering's and after the first 10 had crossed and we realized Josh was not dropping further down, we're like, holy shit, this guy is not playing.
Yeah, we thought, I think everybody took note. Neil Bernard said at Rally Control that they all looked at each other like, oh, whoa, what is going on? So
and we'll talk to Josh about that, but I do know for sure, like he's mentioned to me in the past that he, like, Pickering is one of his favorite stages.
He loves it, right?
Yeah, he loves it.
So I think you could tell that. Yeah. Do you think, how much of an advantage do you think that local drivers have on our roads compared to people that come from overseas? Do you think it's a big difference? Do you think it really depends on the driver themselves and the recce?
I think it depends on your driver, and proof of that is like when we've seen Ken Block come in the past, and Frank Bird is another good example, right? This is his first time driving here.
Yeah.
And he hasn't had an awful lot of seat time in that R5. He's had some, but not a ton. And he obviously did a very good recce, and his times were there.
Yeah, he had rally winning pace. Obviously, he had some issues. Yeah. I think it was 2 drive shafts. I don't know if it was a drive shaft.
I think it was drive shafts.
Yeah.
And then obviously this like overheating issue in the cabin.
Right.
Cockpit, cabin, whatever.
Yeah, we're not in fighter jets.
Yeah. They're close though.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, Josh being quick on the first day, and then I was kind of surprised that Zane was kind of off the pace in the beginning, but don't forget, this was his first ever rally.
Yes.
King of the Hill is basically a time attack sprint. Yeah. So I thought he really grew into it. And I think we all knew that Stuart was going to be lights out. And as I said to Stuart many times, and I said to you, was always going to be my dark horse, who I thought was really going to challenge to win.
Yeah.
And I think he did that. And obviously mentioned to Dane Skeet, because he was right there too, pushing him.
And I think Zane started smartly. At the end of the day, but you know, like every year, the attrition in Rally Barbados is huge.
Right.
And fair enough, fate would eventually catch up, and you know, both for Stuart and Zane, which sucks. But I think Zane started really well, considering it was his first event, and he was being a bit conservative. At the end of the day, Zane knows that he has the pace. Like,
yeah,
he can get the pace. Any point, I think, was to start safely without dropping too much time to the front runners.
Yeah.
And build on his speed throughout the day. And I thought that as day one progressed, he did a very good job of that.
He did, for sure. And then we'll get to day two after we finish day one, but we have to talk about Jeff. And he just can't seem to get along with that car.
Yeah.
And he will no longer have to.
No, he won't have to anymore. Yeah, but
I don't think it's any secret that Jeff is going to be driving a Skoda.
Correct. Ford is for sale. Might be sold. I don't know if you're interested. Check Jeffrey Panton's Instagram page.
Yeah, for sure. But, you know, as somebody that's watched Jeffrey for a long time and loves his driving style, I guess the one big thing going into these R5s, is you kind of have to switch your driving style. You have to be so much cleaner. And Jeff's always been, you know, I think he'll understand this, a flamboyant driver.
Yeah.
But always had pace. But I just feel like with these R5s, you've got to, you know, sliding about is costing you a lot of time.
Yeah.
So do you think that he was, you know, obviously he was out on stage 2, which was disappointing.
Very.
Do you think going into the Skoda now anything will change with Jeff?
I hope so. I mean, look, as you say, obviously Jeff has been doing this for a long time. He's obviously got the skill to be fast. And I think, you know, I've talked about this too. And I just think, honestly, his headspace has been so, you know, kind of distorted just because he's going through all of these emotions with the Ford and not really just getting along with it. So I hope, if nothing else, at least the Skoda's an opportunity to reset.
Yeah.
I think we've seen, obviously, that the Skodas may have some small advantages over the Fords.
Yeah.
So hopefully that will help his confidence a bit too, getting into a car that so far seems to have a slight edge on the Fords.
Yeah. Special mention to Skoda, actually, who just dropped the Gen 3
in the R5 Championship green.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we picked a good color, right?
Yeah, we did. It looks sick too.
I don't know, you know, for many drivers, there are a lot of talk of people entering this championship right now. I don't think that car will be ready until
I don't think we'll see
the
that
end of the year.
I don't think realistically. I'd be shocked if we see one of those here next year.
Yeah,
maybe the following.
But it'd be nice to see a Hyundai or like a
it would
Polo.
Be nice. Dane Skeet.
Yeah.
What do you think, bud?
There's a lot of drivers we'd like to see getting one.
It's true.
To be fair.
But yeah, so I just hope Jeff gets an opportunity to reset in the Skoda, and yeah, I mean, obviously he'll finish off the season. I think he's supposed to get the car maybe next month, so July. So he'll be hopefully taking part in the next round for the R5 Championship in that.
Yeah.
Obviously he'll need to get up to speed with it. I don't expect him to mess with it off the bat, but I hope that it's an opportunity for him to reset and get back to, you know, the Jeff Panton that everybody wants to see.
Absolutely. Any other comments on? I got to shout out
about Paul Horton, man.
Yeah, Paul, what a legend.
Yeah.
And Matt Edwards, obviously British Rally champion 3 times in a row.
For those of you guys that don't know, Paul works with Matt. Obviously, like Matt is, again, as James said, he's 3 times British champion. He's unbelievable behind the steering wheel. If you haven't, go to YouTube and look at his onboards.
He was leading Donegal Rally, but
and then he had a bit of a spill
on stage 17.
Yeah. But he's unbelievably talented, very, very fast. Go check his onboards out in R5s. He just drove a Citroen that was sick. But yeah, so Paul works with Matt to try and help develop and hone his own skills in the car.
Yeah, he's basically a tutor, a mentor.
Exactly.
In terms of driving the car.
Yeah.
Which is great at Matt.
Amazing.
I mean, yeah, just incredible talent to have next to you, pointing you in the right direction.
And you can see it's paying off because Paul's improved and continues to improve. And
some seriously epic onboards if you want to check out the R5 Championship channel.
Shout out to Paul, man, delivering that quality content.
I know, yeah. I've got a lot of time for Paul. I think he's really progressing, and I think he has set goals for himself in terms of what he's trying to achieve. Mm-hmm. And Matt is obviously a big part of helping him do that. Paul was obviously a little disappointed in his
Yeah, I think he was a bit
day
upset
one.
where he ended up in day one.
Because I think he wanted to be fighting in top 10 overall. But day two, he definitely came out firing.
He did.
And I think I can't remember if he finished 11th or 12th. 11th, yeah.
11th.
So he was right on the cusp there.
Yeah.
Against a lot of good competition. So shout out to Paul. Shout out to Stan Hartling, who is,
Mr.
always has a smile on his face.
Yes.
Showing people that doesn't matter what age you are, you can get into a quick rally car, get up to speed, and have some fun. And I thought he was great.
Yeah.
We're going to hear from Ben today.
Yes.
Because I have a lot of questions with Ben. He was, co-driven by Irish rally. I don't even know what to call him, but
friggin' hero,
literal legend of co-driving, Martin
Yeah.
Brady from Ireland, who's done over 500 rallies,
insane.
who is just a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah. And he sat with some big names.
Yeah, he sat
Breen.
He sat with Craig Breen. He sat with Craig Breen's father. He sat with Elfin Evans' father. He's been around the block.
Yeah.
He's won a lot of rallies.
We'll have him on the podcast at some point too, because he's got a ton of we were able to obviously get to know him a bit over RallyBarbados and King of the Hill, and I think he's got some good stories.
And I just love hearing Irish pace notes
dude, it's
in a Barbados rally.
It takes me back to like Colin McRae rally on PlayStation.
Yeah.
I'm just transported back to that time, and just it's between him and Matt Edwards, it's just the best in car.
For sure. And actually, I want to ask people, get in the comments below. How do you feel about your pace notes being read out? Do you like a lot of detail, or like would you prefer minimal? What do you think, Jay? You like it detailed?
I prefer detailed.
Yeah.
More than less.
Because you've sat for some people that didn't like detail.
And they have varying, I've sat with some guys that have that no detail. And then others that are maybe a bit more.
Yeah.
That like a bit more detail. It comes down to just driver preference and style, but if I was to drive, I'd want probably more detail than less.
Before we talk to our guest today, let's talk a little bit about Sunday. I've never been more excited for a rally, for a Sunday.
We could not have asked for a better start to day two.
We couldn't have asked for a worse start to day two.
Well, before it started, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like
beforehand, Jeremy and I got to the end of the first stage, which was Automotive Art Kendall.
Correct.
Was stage one on Sunday. We're there waiting.
Well, we see
which
the
was
cars.
actually stage two.
No, it was stage one.
Yeah,
They left Kendall. So they started at Kendall, then they were going to Dark Hole.
That's
so
right.
James and I are sitting at the finish to do driver interviews. We have the app open and we see the stage has gone live, and we see Stuart Maloney's left line, Dansky in tow.
Yeah.
And we're watching Stuart go through the GPS. And to be fair, there is a bit of lag sometimes. So occasionally James and I would say, oh, somebody stopped on a stage, and then it would reload and jump forward. Anyway, we quickly realized that
he was 4.5 seconds slower than Dansky, which was not a big deal when he crossed the line.
But we did see that
he came around the corner.
Yeah, as soon as so they cross the line in Kendall, and then they have to like turn around the corner, and we were on then a piece of straight road to do the interviews. And as soon as Stuart stops by the timekeepers, we see Christian hop out of the car and like start to look around the back of the car, and we're like, oh no, what has Stuart done? Did something break? Did he hit something? Anyway, to find out when we interviewed him that he clipped a bridge wall down in like the Halton side of the stage, which is very close to the start of the stage, and bent a back wheel, basically.
Yeah, and you could see it moving.
No, it was horrible. Like,
it
this
was a
thing
wobble.
was wobbling like
so
crazy.
He was getting some pretty bad vibrations, is what he was saying.
And with that, still finished the stage only 4.5 seconds behind Dane, which is quite impressive, and I think tells you the rate at which he went through the stage.
For sure. At that point, I think we were a little concerned. Just as obviously we wanted an R5 to win, we can say that.
Well, I think, I mean, okay, yeah, of course, being our involvement in championship, we'd prefer an R5 to win. But not in the, like we had a good battle. Like it was close with Dane and Stuart, and Zane was climbing, and like we just wanted a fight.
Yeah, for sure.
You know.
And then
they went to Dark Hole.
And then sorry. We're standing just after Stuart's pulled off. We're waiting for Zane, and then we realize something is not right. Car comes around the corner, and you could just see the squat on the back.
Yeah, the back left side of the car is just back. Right side of the car is just eating
on the ground.
It's just eating it.
And I think at that point we were like, shit.
that's not going to repair.
And to be fair, I did go up to Zane to interview him. I didn't want to ask him too many questions. I wasn't sure what kind of a state he would be in. But he was gracious enough to give me a few words, just saying it wasn't a 3 left.
Yeah.
But it is.
Well, I mean, to be fair.
Depends how fast you're going, Zane.
Yeah, I mean, I think that really sucked. And I think this is part of motorsport, right?
Yeah.
Like, you've got to, these kind of blows are going to be dealt to you. And sometimes they're going to be your fault, and sometimes it's just going to be mechanical failure that's out of your control. But we've seen this happen tons and tons of times before.
Certainly have.
So I really felt for Zane. But the truth is when I watched back some footage of him where the accident happened, I was like, where the fuck was he going?
Right.
Why is he going way too fast?
Way too fast. Yeah.
But he's just so committed.
Yeah.
And it was just obviously it was a bit too much. And we know in hindsight,
I do feel, I mean, Stuart was driving phenomenally, and so was Dane. But I do feel like those 14 seconds Zane could have got them and had it within maybe 5 by the time he would reach Bushy Park. And at that point, I think
it would have been really
that would have
interesting.
been his stomping ground.
But, we can sit here and hypothesize about how many different scenarios. At the end of the day, it
didn't work out.
Kendall nearly caught Stuart, and it caught Zane out.
It's true.
Which is sad, first stage of the second day, I think we talked about it. We said, come on guys, just like, let's ease into
it. Yeah.
Let's ease into today.
But they definitely didn't. They absolutely did. And I got to respect that at the same time.
Yeah.
And then we go to Dark Hole stage 2, and then
Stuart
I turn into a depressed person.
James gives up on rallying. He no longer wants to be involved in anything. You gave up.
Stuart obviously was flat out through Dark Hole at the bottom, and ended up getting pitched up, and then car
hit a wall or a little sidewalk.
Yeah, and Stuart said he could have changed it, but it would have taken 5 minutes, and at that point he'd be out of the rally. So,
and I think too, if any of y'all didn't get a chance to spectate down in there, I mean, that stage is magic. Yeah, I know that it's rough on the cars, and I know that there's a lot of competitors that didn't enjoy it in the R5 and in the whole like rally in general. But I think for us, in terms of like videoing and just watching cars, we don't often get to see local cars on roads like that.
Yeah,
and that is some WRC level shit.
Yeah, it was pretty sick,
dude. We were in like under the tree canopy down in like the bottom after they finished the saddleback section to start to climb towards Dark Hole, and just sick. Yeah, I told Neil Bernard I hope they keep that stage and do like a speed event there or something, because I think people need to have the opportunity to spectate it. It is so incredible of a stage. The saddleback section that's freshly paved to then come down to that rough, crazy ass section, and then obviously the Dark Hole side. Yeah, they nailed it
for sure. One of our other drivers that had an absolutely phenomenal Sunday, especially, would have been Roger Hill, who I thought was an incredible pace throughout. Who ended up nabbing third in the R5 and 4th overall, I believe. Yeah, or did he beat Proctor? No,
he didn't beat Proctor.
So he'd been 5th overall. Fifth. Yeah, I thought he drove great. We're going to hear from him shortly. Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts on it? Rob Swan obviously drove really well to get third.
He had a great day. Frank again went OTL, and
there was a bit of chat,
a little bit of drama. Because, and maybe we can talk to Josh about this if he wants to. But basically, for those of you who don't know, you've got a 15-minute period, after your set arrival time at a stage, like a grace period, for lack of a better word. And if that 15 minutes expires, you go over time limit or OTL,
and you're out
of the rally. Yeah. And that happened to Frank, but
he claimed it was because of traffic.
I think that was the rumor that we heard. Again, I don't know how true that was. True. I haven't heard it from Frank's mouth, and I haven't heard anything official from the rally club either. The rumor that he was late was that he was late because he was stuck in traffic. Yeah. I think at the end of the day, the rules are the rules, and it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he went OTL and was disqualified from the rally, but he continued to set unbelievably fast stage times.
Yes.
And then at some point in time, after he had submitted a protest against the OTL, the officials made a decision to, I guess, allow him back into the rally. I'll preface this by saying I have not spoken to any officials from the rally club.
Yeah.
This
Or
is
Frank.
This is all just a bit of hearsay and stuff that we've gathered. So don't take this as like gospel, and feel free to correct us if you know some information that we don't. But apparently there was then a decision to allow him back into the rally. And then what that ended up doing temporarily was Josh coming in to do the last run through Pickering's before coming to Bushy Park, thinking that he had a massive gap
of 30 seconds,
something like that,
yeah.
because Bird was out the rally. So he cruised through that stage. He said rather than risk it, there was no need to push. To then get to the end of that stage and find out, wait, how has Bird now passed me and knocked me off the podium? And anyway, so we'll see if Josh will give us a bit more insight about that. But it was a bit of some last minute drama, to say the least. But yeah, obviously Josh ended up keeping the position, and the stewards reversed the decision on the OTL.
Yeah,
and
sure. And obviously, congratulations to Dane Skeet.
Oh, dude, listen, that man put
100%
down,
deserves it.
He obviously had a plan coming into RallyBarbados, and he friggin' delivered, dude. He stuck to it. He was consistently fast. He knew what he needed to do. When Stuart and Zane dropped out, he just
eased,
walked the line.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and just such a mature performance and a deserving winner.
Can we do a hypothetical?
Tell me.
Let's say Zane and Stuart don't have incidents. Who do you think would have won?
That's hard.
I'm putting you on the spot.
That's a hard question. I don't know. I don't like hypotheticals.
Well, this is what we're doing.
Okay, Zane and Stuart don't retire.
Yeah.
And Dane obviously has no issues throughout the second day either. And so all three of them are fine.
Everybody is full 100, Do you think anybody beats Dane? Do you think Stuart?
I think it's possible. Do you
think Zane? Well, give me your top three that would have finished.
It would have been them. They would have Dane, Zane, and Stuart would have been the top three.
Right. Give me in order.
In order?
Maybe you can have your say in the comments.
If I had to, and I'm trying to not answer with my heart and use my head.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a weird way to phrase that. Anyway, I do think Dane would probably have stayed in front.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would have been close, but I think it would have been Dane, Stuart, Zane. I don't think Zane would have caught and beat Stuart, but I think Stuart to Dane and Zane to Stuart, that whole group
within 10 seconds,
less probably, maybe less. I think it would have been friggin' close.
Yeah,
but it doesn't matter.
And I think it doesn't matter, and it's all hypothetical, so don't worry about that. Yeah, the one thing that I think the R5 Championship has given us, similar to the guys in the Bima Cup, shout out to you guys, because the rallying and the racing is so close. The times are so close. I think that's what I wanted to see from the Sunday, and we didn't end up getting it.
Yeah.
But still some phenomenal drives. And I think we can probably hear from...
Yeah.
From our...
We'll shut up now.
Yeah.
Roger Hill's going to join us first.
Yeah.
We'll have a quick chat with him, and then we'll go to Ben and then Josh.
Yeah. So we'll see you in a minute.
Stay locked in.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. First guest today, Mr. Roger Hill. Roger, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks.
Good? It's great to be here.
Good. Thank you. We kind of started this off talking a little bit about King of the Hill. Can you walk me through a little bit about how King of the Hill was, in your opinion, for you?
I think overall the event, the layout of the event and so on was nice and was acceptable. We had set our game plan from the beginning of the day, but obviously the weather interfered with it tremendously. Because we knew what we wanted to do the first or second run and then
ease
accelerate up. But unfortunately, which is something that you have to expect can happen, and it's happened in the past, where if you snooze, you lose.
Yeah.
So we were kind of like behind the 8 ball. We ended up getting just 2 dry runs. That's it. And it's no sense. Even like the last run, which was really, I think that was really, really wet. We could have just said, look, you know what? We're not going to worry to do the last run. We'll just go back up to the workshop. But, you have all the spectators and your sponsors. And, so you're still going to do a little fun and stuff like that. But You can't make any close inroads into a dry run time.
Yeah, no, definitely
But
not.
overall, the stage was nice. I think it gave you a combination of a few things, and that was great.
How was the car to drive? I think you were the first to get a Skoda, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah. How's the car been for you, obviously coming over from what you were driving?
It's 2 years now, a year and a half?
This would be the third year.
Right.
Third year that we've been running the...
Shit,
Any regrets? What can you tell me a little bit about it?
You know, it was a hard decision for me.
Right.
I've been associated with Toyota for a long time. My Corolla I had for 12 years. I thought I had my Celica long, but I had a Celica for 8, and a Corolla for 12. And when I saw Tom Preston's car, his Skoda, he was here like the year or two before.
Yes.
And I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And I just thought that class was the way to go.
Yeah.
And then when David Coelho got his R5, he was one of the first to bring in as well.
Forward, yeah.
You know, he's in the same workshop as me, and you're seeing the technology and so on. But, you know, there's nothing like when you actually get into it and drive it, it's like unbelievable. There's such a difference.
I guess it's such a jump for you too, coming from the Corolla to that.
Big advancement in technology, especially steering, suspension, brakes, and that's something that I haven't gotten to grips with as yet, to trust the braking ability of that car in comparison to what I had before.
Yeah.
Right. Understood. Now, obviously, I think it's known that the Yaris they're doing an R5 Yaris. Would you ever think about it?
Definitely. They've been doing an R5 Yaris now for 6 years.
Yeah. No one's seen it yet.
For a very, very long time.
Oh, right.
I keep asking because Weaver Sports in Holland, they deal with they bought everything from Toyota Team Europe. Right. All the parts, and they do all the repairs and everything on all the Toyotas. They worked on my Celica, they worked on my Corolla. And I keep checking all the time with Patrick. Patrick was like, yeah, well, you know, it's supposed to do this, but I'm not getting any younger. I'm getting older. I don't know how many more years I have left to enjoy motorsports, but I'll tell you, once I continue to enjoy it, I'll be there. Yeah. It may not be the quickest, but I'll be there. But yes, it's something I wanted to do, but you know, if I was like 35, maybe I could wait. But certainly every year it was another one coming, and up to now, nothing.
You
know? But at this stage, obviously, you're quite happy with the Skoda, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'm happy with the Skoda. The Skoda is a nice kit put together. Yeah. The car has been very kind to me so far, knock on wood. We've completed everything and not failed in anything.
I was in the 3 years you've been running it now, have you had to have dropped out of rally because of a failure or something like that? I mean, I know like earlier in this year you had like a misfire.
We had a misfire, which was a broken plug.
Right.
And then on Sunday in RallyBarbados, the first 2 stages, coming out of every corner, the car hesitated, which was the pop-off valve. So we changed that at the end of the first service, and we were back to new then.
But other than that, nothing really major.
No, I think the R5 cars are pretty reliable. And once you do the maintenance that you need to do on them, you're set to go. Just follow the mileages, what they tell you when to change, when to change it, do it. Excuse me, and do it that way.
Okay. So that leads us into Rally Barbados. Did you have an idea of where you wanted to be or what you wanted to achieve?
Yeah. So our plan was, Graham and I, we spoke about it a lot and discussed it. And first of all, you needed to finish.
Yeah.
And that was our number one goal, and we wanted a top 10.
Yeah.
In 2020, we were 5th overall. Our 5 class has grown considerably, with a lot of younger guys, very quick guys.
Yeah.
It's hard to compete against them. You just got to keep your head on and stick to your game plan.
Yeah.
So our objective was a top 10 finish, but we knew that the fight in the top was going to be pretty severe.
Yeah,
and,
indeed.
It was kind of a shock to us in the second stage to come over the brow in Dartwell and see Jeffrey at the side of the road, and it was hard because I know what that feels like. It's happened to us in the past in rallies where we were out I think maybe stage number 4 or 5 the first day, and it's hard.
It sucks.
Listen,
it's hard.
It sucks.
Yeah.
And the only thing that you get. Days is the only thing that remedies it. You feel better maybe after 3 days.
Yeah.
But other than that,
it hits you hard, and especially at a big rally like that. There's so much build up into Rally Barbados and everything. And
hey, you know what? I'll tell you. Listen, the best part about Rally Barbados is the rally itself. The planning and the preparation and everything like that's a killer.
Yeah.
Pace noting and making sure that this is right. And we do other motorsports events during the year, and we don't have the stress level that we have for Rally Barbados. Why? Because Rally Barbados is premier.
Yeah.
We have all the invited guys coming in from overseas. So, everybody wants to make a big showing. I think your sponsors really look forward to, good results in Rally Barbados. And so our plan was to be in the top 10. I will tell you again, on Saturday we started slow. Pretty much on Sunday we were in the zone. And I know when I'm in the zone because I feel it, even Graham will comment, on certain things and stuff like that. And Saturday I was not in the zone, Sunday I was in the zone.
Yeah, I think we could tell by looking at the times, because we went through the times on every stage on Sunday, and you were like between like fourth to or even like third to seventh.
Yeah, I think our best stage was the third time through dark.
You had a pass,
we were second. We were second.
You had a pass through dark hole. That was crazy.
And dark hole was a great stage for us too. We enjoyed it.
Did you? Right? Did you? Yeah.
I'll do it again. I think it's a great stage. Listen, you have to. Rallying is all about the conditions. Because you can go down a road 150 kilometers when it's nice and flat doesn't mean you could do that when there's bumps in it. So there's a lot of things you have to look at, and that's why wrecking and pace knowing is so important. You got to go and take a look at it and kind of expect what could happen if something, if you overcook a corner. And that section under the trees and going up the hill.
I loved it.
Listen,
to watch.
There's no room for
when you go through there at a good rate, it's just an incredible feeling that you've gone through and everything has just been perfect. But the slightest little
there's no room.
There's no excuse. You're going to be in problems.
Yeah.
There are trees in there, and there's everything, especially going up and down. Now, Saturday when we had to go over that road to turn left to go down the very narrow little hill to go down under the trees, that was
sketchy.
Tricky. Yeah, that was that. Yeah, we had one little moment there, just like what happened to Duckworth.
Yes.
Where we were a little wide and got into the marbles a bit, and I said, "Oh gosh, boy."
Here we go.
Maybe hope that we could get this back, and it came back. You know? But you just have to be, careful. But dart hole for us, we love dart hole. Yeah. I think that's a great stage.
And I'm guessing the car felt pretty good going through roads like that. Like it was. Yeah, I know it probably was bottoming out in some of these sections.
Yeah, we touched a couple times, but for us, I so much more prefer a stage that flows.
Right.
And dart hole from the time you started, it was flowing. There were very little areas that you had to brake. Except up the top of the hill to make that immediate left. So you're just moving through the gears and you're flowing and like on Sunday when I feel I was in the zone, I know I was in the zone. It just felt so perfect.
Yeah.
That it just was coming together, and you get it right. Areas where look, I can go a little hard, and this the second time around you go a little faster, and at the end of the stage you see the results are there.
So you prefer a stage like that compared to something like like how they ran Kendall this year, where you have a lot of big, heavy braking zones, bringing the car all the way down and going.
Again, for me, I think my weak point is not trusting the ability of the braking of the R5, and that's something I have to work on. And that's where I'm losing time. I think I'm much faster in stages that flow, where there's not a lot of braking.
Big braking from like high speed to low.
Kendall is massive speed down to second gear.
Tons of time.
Corner. Acceleration again, down to second gear. Acceleration again, second gear.
Yeah.
So every time in that course, that Kendall stage, you probably had like 7 major areas of braking. Yeah. If you're losing easily 0.6 of a second every time you do that,
adds up very quickly.
It adds up very quickly, especially in the R5 group where you can see times are everybody's like a lot of people are like within the same second.
Yeah. Well, we talked about this. I mean, earlier, and we drew comparisons to the Bimmer Cup, where the competition between the cars is so close. And okay, fair enough. Sometimes you have guys that are, a couple seconds ahead of the group, but you'll have, like, our mid pack is sizable, and there might be 5 seconds between 7 cars, and
that's that's competition. That's
great, it's exciting.
Because consistency is key. Mm-hmm. If you make an out, or if you overshoot a corner or spin in a corner, that's 5, 6, 7 seconds. It's hard to catch that back.
Yeah.
To regain that is difficult.
Because there's not a whole lot between the cars. I mean, I think we've seen that there's maybe the Skodas have a bit of an edge over the Fords, but I mean, with the right people behind the wheel, Rob is very quick in his. Josh has seemed to have the speed in his quite well.
Josh is amazing, but that's no surprise. I knew that was going to happen. He's a great driver. I think he's going to do extremely well. Yeah. And it's great to see him in an R5. I know cost means a lot, and it's important, and it restricts people. But we have a lot of good young drivers that I would love to see running in the R5 group. because I think that they would do really, really, really well.
Yeah, it's very true.
I completely agree. And who knows, we might actually see some of them soon.
I hope so.
We'll see what happens. You had a fantastic Sunday, Raj, and so third in the R5 class, 5th overall.
We were 7th overall. We lost the last spot. We were in front of Mark.
Right, okay.
And then with the rain and stuff like that, But you know what? We were 6th. We were 7th overall. Mark was 6th. But Mark is a great guy. I love to see, and Mark has a lot of potential in driving as well.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
And it's great. If I'm beaten by people who have great potential, I'm fine. I'm happy.
Yeah.
I did my best. I made a mistake in Bushy Park where it was wet and spun and went into the gravel trap. And lost by 0.61 of a second, but that's rally.
That's rally.
It is though, right? I mean, but it's
right.
just so. How did you feel after that happened?
I was angry. I was angry with myself, for making a mistake. But
did you put on wets or were you running on slicks?
Yeah, it was. We run on slicks because we came into the time control on time. Mm-hmm. We had like 4 or 5 minutes to spare. We checked in and then we went and sat down on the start line for like 25 minutes. With the rain then came down pouring. You have no chance of changing tires.
No.
So I think that was very unfortunate.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the drivers complained about it. I know I was not the only one that lost positions at Bushy Park. There were other drivers who, lost a position or two because of that.
And with that amount of rain on slicks, that's pointless.
Listen, we turned to come up the opposite direction, of course.
Yeah.
And we
towards
turned,
the hairpin, you mean?
Yeah, towards you're
in front of the clubhouse.
In front of the clubhouse, and we turned that left-hand corner, and as soon as I accelerated, that was the end of that.
There's nothing.
The car just came right out, spun, and went into the gravel trap. And all I'm saying to myself is, let me just get this out of here. And I selected gear, and we got it out, and continued on. And then you're saying, oh shoot, I've blown it, and but you just gotta keep going. It's just, and it was heavy rain.
We were standing up when you try again, friggin'
I mean, if we had tires, it would be, the proper tires, it would be better. But sometimes that happens.
I think Andrew was the only one to put on.
Yeah, Andrew did a move and put on wet tires, a gamble, and did it because we knew when we got to the top of Stuart Hill, up there was wet. We made a call. Bushy Park was dry. We got on there, it was dry.
Yeah.
Checked in, it was dry. We were there ready to go, but I think the starting marshal or the timing crew they were running a bit late, and that's what caused the problem.
Yeah. So frustrating.
I understand. But again, those guys, the marshals and all the officials of the club did such a tremendous job. If they tripped up on that, I'm not going to criticize. It's a long 2 days.
Yeah.
And they did a really, really good job.
Well, I think you had a fantastic rally.
Yeah, definitely.
And you must be pleased with the overall performance that you got.
I am pleased.
But you're expecting more.
I just think I could have done better, but I needed to do better on Saturday.
Yeah.
And that's what let me down a bit. But, we brought the car home without a scratch, without any tire damage. We didn't lose a tire, we didn't break a rim or anything like that. That happens, it's very easy for that to happen during a rally. So it came home clean. Our crew, DJs and Patrick from Weavers, we worked steadily on the vehicle throughout the rally just to make sure that everything was great. And it was fun. It was a nice weekend.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's for
I
sure.
think you find yourself second in the R5.
Correct.
The R5 championship now.
Yeah, well.
And you earned some good, despite the overall finish in RallyBarbados, you earned some good points. You're second behind Stuart by I think like 34 points is the difference right now.
But listen, it's all to play for.
It is.
Yeah, and we have a little bit of a break. I know there's talk about maybe doing an event in August. We do have them scheduled for September, but we'll see what happens with the scheduling. Anything you're looking forward to for the rest of the year? Any plans in terms of what your expectations are for the rest of the year?
I just think for us personally, I know what I have to work on, and that's my braking.
Yeah.
I think everything else, we are pretty okay. Graham was a lot happier on Sunday than on Saturday. I think he was complaining a bit, which I understand. I appreciate because he's just trying to help. But that's just to take every event as it comes. We have some more rallies.
Yep.
We have an autocross thrown in there and all sorts of different things that's going to be new.
Yeah.
So it's just different. But just to take every event as it comes, plan for every event and don't plan ahead. I'm second in the championship. That probably will change a lot. We don't know. We'll see. But we were lower than that and we've crept our way up.
Correct.
I just think being consistent and not making mistakes is paying off for us. So we just got to thank our sponsors because without them, it's not possible.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
Saul and Esso have been great to us, and Max Meyer Paints and Motormac, and you know, we have our game plan, and we're just going to try to stick to that for the balance of the year.
Can I get your thoughts on the R5 Championship and the possibility of going to different islands? Is that something that you would welcome?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Obviously, cost is going to be one of the factors for everyone.
Yeah.
What it's going to cost to do it. You know, but I mean, we've rallied in Jamaica, we've rallied in Trinidad, and it's great. I mean, Trinidad has some of the best loose roads you can ever want to drive on. Jamaica also had some good ones, but they're a lot more rougher in areas. But they were big rallies.
Yeah.
You know, what we have here in Barbados with our tarmac rally, or Sol RallyBarbados is incredible. But yeah, I mean, I think Guadeloupe or Martinique is the direction that most people are looking at.
Because you can maintain the tarmac setup and just...
Yeah, and once we keep our cars within the specification, which we should be doing at all times, going there is
no issue.
not going to be an issue. But
right, because they run same FIA R5 like we do.
Correct. But there are a couple of tweaks here that we do differently. So,
okay.
You know, and they pay very close attention to seatbelt expiration or fuel cell expiration and stuff like that. Sometimes we don't really do that 100% here.
Okay.
You know, so you got to make sure that everything is just perfect there. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Roger. I really appreciate your time. Jay, any
No,
last
that's
questions?
it. Yeah, I mean, congrats on, you know, as we said, we thought you had a great Rally Barbados despite maybe a bit of disappointment on your end. Yeah. And certainly we're excited about where you're sitting in the championship. So, you know, we wish you and Graham the best of luck moving forward in the coming rounds, and can't wait to see you out there.
Thanks. And I just wanted to mention that Mike Corolla will be doing his first event in the UK.
Is it?
It's entered in the Colin McRae Memorial.
No way. Who's driving it?
Johnny Milner.
Whoa.
He's driving
Wow.
it.
Is it Castrol liveried?
Yep.
Is it?
Yeah, I'll show you a picture there.
No way.
He's done some work on, obviously, like changing seat belts and changing seats and fuel cell and stuff like that. But everything on the car has been perfect. You know, he's done some testing on it, so he's...
Wow.
I'm looking forward to that.
That's cool, man.
I was in York last year, and I went up to see the car, but it wasn't theirs yet. It was still over at Weaver's there.
Oh, shoot. To
get it. So,
yeah.
But I keep in contact with him.
Oh,
good, man.
Sweet,
He's a
man.
nice guy.
Can't wait for that. When is the rally?
I think it's the first weekend in July.
Okay.
So
So
I'm
coming
just
up.
keep a...
Colin McRae Memorial Stages, guys. Make sure you tune in for that one.
Cool. All right, Raj. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much, guys.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Welcome back, everybody. We've just finished up with Roger Hill, and now we are joined by Ben Hartling via Google Meet because he's at home in Turks and Caicos. Ben, thank you so much for taking some time to chat with us today, buddy.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, cheers, Ben. Firstly,
Okay, go ahead.
oh my goodness, I don't know what's going on in here. First and foremost, Ben, how was King of the Hill for you? It was your first time ever in the car itself, brand new R5. What were your expectations going into it? How did you feel? And what did you come out afterwards thinking about the vehicle and your performance?
Yeah. Threw a little bit of a wrench in things because you were expecting a different kind of rope, but Vaucluse is always a little tricky for me. I mean, it's incredibly like slick in there in any vehicle. So I guess my thoughts were just kind of like, you know, obviously feel the car out, go through, and the run was pretty good. It was just that initial, like that first section was so fast. And I feel like if you're not up to speed on what your car can do, then you're like dumping time through there, right? So the first run through, you're like, oh, I can definitely go quicker. And then also, I guess the rain there, right? So that kind of threw your confidence. You're like, oh, I felt like I had the grip, and then it rained, so you're kind of questioning the amount of grip that you have. But overall, I mean, it was I think I did, fairly decent for the first run in the car. But yeah, it was just a crazy kind of like, wow, this car can do so much more than I'm used to a car being able to do.
Yeah, well, I think that's an important point to note, right? I mean, obviously, you made quite a big jump coming from a C2 R2 into the R5. So like off the bat, I guess outside of the power, what are some of the main things that stood out to you that were like, oh shit, this is a big jump?
I mean, I guess I don't know if I'm going to use the correct technical terms, but like the lateral grip until the back gives out. Like I was used to the C2, it was kind of like I don't know, like a pendulum, right? Like the back would always kind of give out, but it was fine because you had the front wheel drive to kind of like pull you through things. Just how like I guess planted that car feels like. And a lot of guys tell me, yeah, it feels like that until it doesn't, which I guess is the scary part. Like it feels like it has a ton of grip, and all of a sudden it can let go. But I mean, yeah, just getting used to the amount of, I mean, the braking too. The braking is absolutely insane. Like, and just how it kind of makes the car squat instead of like the C2 would just get so nose heavy, and then the back would get light. And if you were too hard on the brakes, you would lock the back wheels, and then you're kind of into that the back moving around. But yeah, just generally how planted that thing feels.
And you had, and we thought you made an extremely good call getting a very, very experienced navigator to sit with you in Martin Brady. What was that whole process like, down from like pace noting and preparing for King of the Hill and Rally Barbados and just sitting with somebody new in the car?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll have to give a shout out to my dad because he was the one that kind of was like, look, you're gonna need someone that knows what they're doing, and it was just a massive help. Like it was, I don't know how to really put it. I was actually talking to my brother about it last night, just like the level that it makes you. I guess, the analogy would be like going to a business meeting, like in swimsuit and a t-shirt, and then going in like a tuxedo. You're like, I got to like step this up. You know what I mean? Because like you feel like, all right, this guy's doing his thing. Like I got to kind of come up to match that. But the whole process was just like so enjoyable, and shout out to Martin. I mean, he's a true professional. He taught me so many things that I had never even thought about, from trip meters in the car that he had set up on a Bluetooth pad that I could reset, and we didn't actually use it, but he showed me the number system on the wheel and all that kind of stuff. So just the amount of like small tips and tricks that he had, and like to come up with new words for certain things where I would kind of just basically have cut, don't cut. He was like, no, we'll do like nips, we'll do, this, that, the other thing. So it like, yeah, it was just a different level. And then getting used to hearing that detail of notes was all, and trying to get used to hearing that amount of detail of notes and then driving the new car was a bit of like an overload. It was like, I could only really focus on like, you would ask me at the end of the stage, hey, what can we change on the notes? And I'm like, dude, I'm just happy to get through the stage. Like the notes are great, like, kind of thing.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It is, yeah, it's sick. And it's I think it's just cool because I think a lot of motorsport fans out here don't really understand don't really consider perhaps like what having the difference it makes having somebody like Martin in the car, especially when it's a new car and there's so many new things. So it's cool to hear that was positive experience for you. And plus the onboards with Martin's voice are just insane.
Yeah, so, I don't know if anybody's played Dirt Rally, but it literally makes you feel like you're playing that game. Like, and like the little sayings too, like he would come up with it, just constantly hilarious. Like,
how did you keep it together? Hearing it all, like it's a lot of notes. It's like I don't know. My brain probably couldn't comprehend that many notes.
Yeah,
but it's
I think and the good thing you're allowed to do recce, like, and this is something Martin mentioned to me. He was like, man, it's kind of like if you plan to do stuff outside of Barbados, it's kind of dangerous to get used to recceing like that, because in some places, like in Canada, when I did a gravel rally, they had 2-pass guided recce. So you had to go in a convoy, and that was you had 2 cracks at it. That was it. But in Barbados, like we drove dark hole like 20 times. You know what I mean? Like, and so I feel like once you do that, then I was like kind of used to what he was going to say, and then it helped me digest it. But if we did 2-pass recce and he was spouting off that amount of stuff, I think it would have just been too much for me, like to kind of, process. And but he, it just goes back to how good Martin is at his job. Like the way he kind of like undulates his voice. So like, if it's a long right 6, he'll just kind of say that. But if it's like a sharp right, he's like sharp right 2. Like he puts the emphasis on it, so it kind of wakes you back up. You're like, oh, okay, shit, I gotta listen. Like, so he's good. It was just, I mean, I think if any other like regular off the street kind of navigator was to throw that much stuff at me, I probably would have lost it. But just the way and his delivery and stuff kind of made it digestible.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations on Sunday Cup champion.
Yeah, thank you, man. I feel like it was a little bit of a steal. I didn't have any other R5s to compete against, but I'll still take it, man. I got the mug. I'm not giving it back.
Take the wins when you get them, buddy.
Yeah.
Listen, you had some very quick stages in this rally.
Yeah.
I think it's something that you should be proud of for sure. I wanted to ask you what your goal is in terms of the R5 now. Just more seat time, getting better. I mean, what are your plans?
Yeah, I think, ideally I would want to be in that like top 10 group. And I know that's a really competitive group of guys that have been doing it for a long time, but that's, you kind of got to shoot for the stars and you might miss and hit the moon or whatever that saying is. But, it's just kind of tough to get better. Like, after the rally, I was like, oh, I'd really love to go do some training. And it's like, well, where are you going to train for Barbados roads? You can go up on Irish tarmac. That's not the same thing. You can go to Team O'Neill or Dirtfish. That's on gravel. So that's not the same thing. So, it's kind of like, and then you go to Barbados and like, we we're just discussing, you have these events, but they're kind of few and far between in terms of that. And then you kind of get one crack at it. Like, it's not one of those sports where you can, hey, I'll rent out the track for the weekend and I'll get better kind of thing. So I'd like to get better and do everything, but just the timing of it all, like to get away and to practice is a bit tough. So yeah, hopefully next year fighting for a top 10 position, but that's can't set the expectations too high with the limited seat time.
Sweet.
Did you have sorry, just to jump back to Rally Barbados quickly. Obviously, we ran 3 stages backwards and forwards across the 2 days. Did you have like a stage that you really preferred over the others?
It was funny because I was telling everybody, like even like my brother wasn't there, but I was like, man, like this dark hole stage is like hellish. Like you know what I mean? And that ended up being my favorite stage. Like I loved it in there. I think just kind of because what I'm not good at the moment is the commitment through the high speed stuff, which, Kendall and some of the, like they have very, you can get the time if you are willing to kind of like trust the car. And I don't think I was there, but I did trust the car in like slow speed technical stuff. So I think that's why I liked that stage, because it was, there was some fast sections, but a lot of it was kind of like bumpy, rough, technical. So yeah, dark hole is definitely my favorite. And on Saturday, Saturday, not Sunday.
You set a blistering at one of the passes. I think it was the 3rd pass or 2nd pass through. You set a really, really respectable time through their stage.
Yeah. So I was hoping that would be my video on the R5 thing, but they used the other way. So that was a little bit more conservative. But well, I think
not the other one too. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. But I think dark hole was a lot of fun. I know a lot of guys had a lot of trouble through there, and it was a kind of a car wrecker. But like I was saying to Logan, who was behind me in the Sunday Cup, like, well, he was saying it to me more so that this stage is made for the R5s. And I think that's so. I think dark hole was, a very R5 specific stage. Obviously, like Kendall has his backyard and he's got the big power on the straights. And, I think that was the nice thing. I think the stage is kind of catered a little bit to each kind of type of car in the rally, which was cool. And I hope they do something. Mileage was in the rally.
Sick.
Cool. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's it, man. Look, Ben, we won't take up too much more of your time, buddy. We just, of course, we're grateful that
when are you back?
That's it. Yeah, we were just saying, hopefully this double header that's coming up, I'll get down for that. But yeah, just as soon as I can. Like I said, I need to get more seat time, and whatever's going, I'll try to get down for that. And yeah.
Cool.
Well, thanks, buddy. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll keep in touch and catch up soon again.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Cheers, Ben.
Bye.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back, joined by R5, first place in the R5, 2nd overall, Rally Barbados, Josh Read. Josh, thanks for coming in, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure.
Last time you were in here, we were having like 2-wheel drive arguments.
Yeah.
You're no longer allowed to sit at that table.
Yeah, not anymore. Not anymore. But last time I was here, I did say that if I had the opportunity to get an R5, I would. So I guess
you stuck by your word.
Stuck by your word.
It worked out.
Yeah. Well, we're very glad. And,
absolutely.
We'll get into it a bit more, but I guess to start with, obviously, King of the Hill was your first rail outing. Yeah?
Yeah. King of the Hill was the first time I drove the car twice at Bushy Park. Before that, just doing little bits of testing. And then King of the Hill was the first road event event that I did. So that was that was a good experience. Obviously, it wasn't quite the event I was hoping for because we had variable conditions. Some may say that was good because I got to experience wet and dry.
Mm-hmm.
But I was hoping it would be all wet so I could build
All
up
dry.
all dry, so I could build up the speed. But nonetheless, it worked out. It was a good event. So
Yeah.
I was very cautious in Caney Hill.
Yeah, we could see. I mean, and I think obviously, not that we had any expectations necessarily, but when we saw the first set of times come through for the first pass, I think as the leaderboard started to kind of fill, we realized that it looked like you had like a fairly conservative start, which I guess was intentional.
Absolutely, yeah. It was definitely, anytime you're doing King of the Hill, even if it's not in a new car, you're always thinking about Rally Barbados the next weekend as well. And obviously, the last thing I wanted to do was have an incident the first time I drove the car.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that I took the competitiveness out of my mind for a minute, just to feel the car and learn it, and have the confidence then going into the next weekend.
Right, which led us to Rally Barbados.
Yeah.
And we have to talk about the first stage because I think it's been well documented today on here and from other people that when they saw your name come on the board, and it was P2, I think, in the first stage. How was it for you?
I think I'll be
Really
very,
bad, I
I'll be
guess.
very honest.
Really bad.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah. I mean, was I expecting it? Completely. Not for true. No. Not for true. No, not at all. I would say that when I saw the times, I knew that I had a solid run. I told Barry.
And you like that stage too.
I love that stage. As I said afterwards, I couldn't start a rally on a better stage because I absolutely love that stage. But I told Barry, obviously, a shout out to Mark, who wasn't with me for that rally, but he was in the background supporting.
Mm-hmm.
But I spoke to Barry before, and I told him that I just want to have a solid first run because if you want to have a good rally, you have to have a good first stage because that sets the tone for the whole rally. So it was my objective to have a clean first run with no issues or no mistakes. And I had a good, solid run. But I honestly think I just caught a lot of people sleeping on that first run because, as you could see, even when Barry saw the times, he said you're second overall. I said, well, that's going to change because I know how I went through there, and I think that everybody was just very conservative and cautious on that first run. Yeah. And I maybe just felt a little bit more confident and pushed a bit harder. So
knowing the stage and loving the stage as you do.
Yeah, exactly. So I just had the confidence to go
but
on.
Even in that pass, you feel like you left time on the stage.
Yeah. It wasn't like
because everybody started to improve from there.
Everybody
Obviously
improved, and I think I went down by another, I don't know, 6 or 7 seconds.
Yeah, so it's a lot.
Stage, so I mean, or something like that.
But having stage wins like that, or not stage wins, but placing so high up and getting seconds on your competitors early on in a rally, that helps, obviously.
Oh, absolutely. And then it also puts it not that I was really expecting to compete or had any expectations, but it puts everybody else in, I guess, on the back foot because they're like, whoa, okay, that was quick. So I need to try and you're now, that person is now playing catch up. So to have that jump is always a good feeling.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And that forces mistakes too. And
yeah,
there's
definitely.
plenty of those at this rally.
Yeah.
Talking about your day one, how did it go for you and getting the seat time and the speed? How was it?
Yeah, it was day one was good. Day one was very, very steady. We were quick, so I think we were obviously Stuart's times and Zane's times and Paul Bird and those guys, they were Frank, sorry, they were out front, and I wasn't expecting to get up to their times at all. So I wasn't really looking at them because I knew that they were quite a bit faster. I was very, very sorry that Jeff had his problem as well so early on because I really would have liked the chance to see if I was able to compete against him or not. But it went well. The stages went well. It was challenging in our hole, and it was just about focusing on the speed. I was a bit disappointed probably with Kendall because I felt like I was fairly committed through Kendall, but the times didn't reflect it. So I think that was a bit of a disappointment. But aside from that, Pickering's and Dart Hole, my times were pretty good. So
you did not get into grips with the braking, or you did?
I think for me now, the next thing I need to focus on is car setup because I felt like I was fairly committed in Kendall. Yes, if you're not getting the low speed corners right, and you're losing 2/10 and 3/10 through the entire stage, that adds up to seconds. So I probably wasn't getting it right in some situations, but I would like to try and learn and understand a little bit more about the car setup, because I think that's where the time is now, is getting the car to the right place, you know.
Did you have any? I know. Well, we know obviously because we saw you at lunch break on day one, and I think when I first saw you, you were pouring like cold water straight over your head. I know you were struggling with some heat issues in the car.
We had, and we knew about this before, but I didn't really realize how bad it was going to be. They have something to do with a fan that cuts in to cool down the ECU at a certain point, and this was connected to a heater, so it was actually blowing hot air. I mean, I can't even begin to describe. I looked over at Barry at one point. I thought he was going to pass out because it was just unbearable. So the first half of the day on Saturday, actually the first 6 stages, the first 2 loops on Saturday, we dealt with that, and it was coming into the afternoon, it was unbearable.
And this would only come on like during a stage, or it would run all the time, like when you're all there in transit.
It was like, I guess when it got to a certain temperature, so once it cut in, it wouldn't come off until you switched off the car, so it would just stay on. So, I mean, inside there was like a sauna.
Jesus.
Like a sauna. It was ridiculous. And it was nothing to do with the heat outside. I mean, I'm accustomed to that, and I'm accustomed to being in cars are hot and stuff, but this was just dumping heat inside.
Yeah.
So that was challenging. It didn't really affect us like from a speed standpoint, but
just discomfort.
It was just draining.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, aside from that, Saturday was pretty smooth.
Did you have a pop-off valve failure on Saturday or Sunday?
Yeah, sorry, that's right. Yeah, Saturday we struggled with the pop-off valve was an issue. When we also had the boost hose come off, but I'm not sure when it came off. But again, I don't think it really affected my performance, because I didn't notice the boost hose. Obviously, boost hose coming off is a major performance issue, but I didn't notice that. But the pop-off valve was failing, and then because of that, I would feel like the car was switching from R5 mode to road mode. It was a dramatic.
Wow, was that drastic?
Decline in power, and it was cutting in and out, especially when it was under load, like going up a hill at dark hole.
You would feel the car like
feel it like pulling back and going and pulling back and going. So, but then the guys got it sorted out, and they put in another one, and then we just had to change a couple of things to do with the anti-lag and stuff like that to try and stop it from happening again. So yeah.
And you got the heater thing sorted too?
Yeah, they disconnected that.
I think everybody, all the Fords had that issue.
Did you throw it in the skip to make sure it never comes on again?
I'm keeping it for when we get down into the winter months.
Like January and February when it's a bit chillier. Let it pump some nice 70-degree hot air into the cabin.
Fair enough.
Shit. Yeah. But yeah, day one solid. And then obviously kicking off day two, you're way further up in your road position now.
Did that help from a mindset point of view or anything like that?
Do you care in general? Like RallyBarbados or not? Do you care?
It doesn't matter where you are, really. I don't think as much, but it's a good feeling to know that you've achieved something Saturday and you're starting in a good position on Sunday. But yeah, I mean, Sunday.
What was your mindset?
Sunday, my mindset was let's just continue as we were. Let's see how things go and try to stay focused and competitive. And in stage one, unfortunately Zane had his issue, and he had a damage to the back wheel, so I passed him in the Kendall stage. So I was sorry to see that happen, but I said, "Oh shoot, that puts us in third."
Yeah.
So then I was, so I said, "All right, well that was okay," and we would continue on, and then we went into dark hole, and then unfortunately then I passed.
Short.
So then I said, "Shoot, this is."
No.
I mean, I felt bad for them because I know those guys were I think Stuart was probably on the way to possibly victory, maybe, battling right down to the very end, probably.
Yeah.
So, so I felt bad for him, but then I said, well, that actually puts me in second. But I said, this is getting serious. So then I was looking to see Dan in the third stage. If I just...
One after the next.
Imagine Josh turns up at Pickering and just like, wait, I'm leading the rally.
So third time lucky.
This is like a pattern.
Does your mindset change in terms of when you start to see people out? Do you take a little bit off, or does it make you go harder? Like, is there anything that changes for you?
When I saw them drop out, nothing changed my mindset yet, until then I realized that Proctor he was coming. So he was coming. His times were quicker than me in some stage, and pretty much Kendall and Dart Hole. I was just there and thereabouts, and Pickering with him. So then I said, well, I started to push harder, and I started to push the car. How I would describe it is like how I would push in my Starlet. I really was pushing the car very, very hard. But then in Lambert's, when we started Lambert's, there's a very tight right-hander that goes uphill with a cut rock on the outside. And I went into that too hard at the start of the stage and hit the back wheel on the cut rock. And I thought that was the end. I thought, well, this is either a flat tire or something is broken. But luckily, nothing got damaged. It rent the rim, but nothing actually failed on the car, so I was able to continue. And
you lost time because of it, or not necessarily?
Only in the corner, only because it slid out in the corner, hit the cut rock, and then I lost a little bit of time because of that. But then
this isn't all those loose marbles is where you hit?
This is at the very start of the stage in Lambert's.
Yeah.
Bottom, and then there's a right-hander where you kind of come out. I came into that right, and went in too hard, and the back slid and hit the cut rock.
Okay.
So when that happened, I didn't say, you know what, I just had to remind myself that I'm not really competing against Proctor. I want the second place overall, yes, but then, or second or third or whatever I could do, but I didn't want to throw away the R5 because I still had
maximum points now.
In the group.
Yeah.
And by Rob.
And Rob was there, and I was able to, all those guys are phenomenal. All the R5 guys, Rob, and I got a lot of respect for all those guys. But my times were good enough that I could hold them off. So then I said, well, let me not mind Proctor as much. I told Barry, I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to drive just there, just pull back 5%, but keep the pressure on Proctor to see if he can maintain his pace, because he was really pushing it past me. Yeah. But then a few stages later, he had a big spin in Dart Hole,
which also ended up costing Rob Swan.
Exactly, yeah. Because so that then put Proctor out of the picture for the time being, and then elevated Rob to third place overall, and then second at R5. So then, he was second before, but third overall in the rally. And then I had enough margin there that I then decided, well, I pushed right up until the last stage. Then I said, well, I was just the conditions were a little bit dirty on the stage, and I said, look, I didn't need to push because I had enough gap on him then that I could safely bring it home.
Mm-hmm.
But then coming into the last stage as well, at Bushy Park, when it was wet, I was then thinking, how horrible would it be if you go inside here and throw the whole thing away in this one stage?
Yeah.
It's a simple little stage, but it was wet and you're on slicks.
Yeah.
But you think like that before, but then when you start the stage, then that just goes clear out your head, and you just...
Because you would have been on the start line for a long time too, right?
Yeah, because Roger Hill was saying that they checked in at time control, and then 25 minutes, half an hour, they're just sitting there and it's pissing and raining and you can't change tires or do anything.
It was just like that, exactly like that. So
what was it like to drive?
It was a lot better than driving the Starlet on wet. But it was still challenging because, Bushy
It was
Park
surely hydroplaning and stuff all over the place.
Some standing water, and then Bushy Park does have some slippery sections, especially some of the connecting links. Not the main track, but some of the connecting links can be a little slippery on wet. So, but that was, we got through that, and it was the time, again, I was cautious, but I think I was still quicker than Rob through that last stage as well by a second or two. So, and it came down to the end, and then that's where we ended up. So it was a really incredible experience.
Yeah, congratulations, phenomenal. We want to talk a little bit.
Yeah, well,
the Frank Bud situation.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit in the intro, but obviously we know that, so who by the way, Frank was incredibly fast all day on Sunday. Yeah. His stage times were insane.
I think he had the pace. If he didn't have the problems, he had the pace to win the rally potentially as well. His times were
also correct, because Saturday times were also incredibly fast. He just suffered with some bad luck. He broke the drive shafts and other things. But then on Sunday, obviously, I think it was after stage 12, he went OTL. And was out to rally, and again that helped partially with your overall position. But then we knew from obviously looking, and then obviously in speaking.
No, because he was already far ahead of him because.
Because he was clawing back. His stage times were close enough to be.
I wasn't when he went OTL. Then I wasn't really looking at his times.
No, because it didn't matter.
Yeah, but I knew his times were brutally fast because I knew he was really quick. So, so I went into the last Lambert stage.
Which would be 18, stage 18.
I went into that last stage, and I said, so at the start, I was like, all right, who do we have there now behind us? And it was like, well, it's Rob. And he was 30 or whatever it was behind me. And I said, okay. So then I said, all right, well, let's see what his stage looks like. And then so when he started, as soon as they went through the few first corners, he told Barry, look, it's not worth me pushing too hard out here because we have the gap. So let me back off. And I went quite a bit slower. I was probably 7 or 8 seconds slower potentially in the stage than I could have been because I just backed off.
Yeah.
But then I got to the end of the stage and we were driving back to the service and then head to Bushy Park. And I said, Barry's like, but Bird is just past you. So I said, what? I mean, he's passed me out. I said, but where was he before the stage? Right? Because he wasn't there before. So,
Yeah.
So then, anyways, so that was a little bit of a tense moment because then I'm thinking, but I was saying, but at first I didn't even think that he was OTL at that point. I was saying, but I backed off intentionally because I had a big gap. But if I had known, I could have really have tried harder and done better. So that was frustrating me. But then we got back to service and said, but hold on, he was OTL. So then we started to look into it and realized that it was just I guess the officials had to make their decisions on however they dealt with that. But that was a frustrating point. And even going into the last stage, I had to take it out of my head because it wasn't resolved before I started the last stage at Bushy Park. And I was really frustrated just at how everything happened. Not if somebody passed me out legitimately and it is what it is, and that's not going to bother you as much as that. But it's like it was one thing before, and then
Just kind of the circumstances.
Yeah, they had made the announcement, dropped him down, and then taking him out of the standings, and then put him back in basically. Yeah. 2 stages from the end.
Yeah.
So that was a peculiar situation, and I mean at the end of the day, I guess it is what it is, and everybody had to make the decisions, and then they decided to do, that they had to reverse to whatever decision they made to put him back in, and so I guess there was a little bit of a technicality in terms of that whole situation, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. And you ended up second overall, first in the UF5.
Yeah.
Correct.
Proper rally.
Yeah.
So I guess you couldn't really ask for much more.
Not really, not really.
No.
I couldn't, aside from seeing Dane, but I didn't want him to break down. So congrats to Dane for his
Absolutely.
victory.
Yeah, he drove a good rally.
Yeah, and he deserved it.
Sensible rally and
he
stuff.
He deserved it.
And it's rallying is at the end of the day, it's some experience definitely plays a part.
Yeah.
So I think there's no doubt that as things progress, and there, the raw pace that Zane has and stuff, there's no doubt that with some more experience that he's going to be an absolute force to be reckoned with.
Sure.
But just a little bit more experience probably would get him there. So
yeah.
Well, you know what? He come out of RallyBarbados. Obviously, you took home maximum points in the championship and big points because it was double points for RallyBarbados. So you're sitting like 5th, I think, right now in the championship. Mm-hmm. Considering you've only done 2 rounds, that's pretty good sitting. And obviously, it seems as though across those 26 stage kilometers that you did, that you've gained a lot of comfortability and confidence in the car in quite a short amount of time.
Yeah, the cars are. I always wondered what it would be like to drive a car like this, and it was playing on my mind so much on the lead up.
Describe it for the listeners.
Because even like obviously you've been driving your Starlet for so long, and you know that car like the back of your hand, and it's clear when you watch your onboards or see your times at rallies when you do it, it's a thing to watch. But yeah, like what are like stepping out of the Starlet and into something like the R5? What?
Yeah, it's like well, first of all, the feeling you get through the first thing I noticed on the car is just the feeling through the steering wheel, how solid and positive the steering is compared to what I'm accustomed to. When you turn and how the car responds to what you want it to do is phenomenal. And then as everybody says with those cars, the brakes are just amazing.
Yeah,
just amazing. You can come from absolute flat out speed and just stand up on the brakes and come straight down like nothing else. It's really amazing how the brakes work. But it definitely it gave me very quickly had the confidence to commit at high speed. I think from the very first pass through Kendall, through the kink and those corners where everybody refers to, it was completely flat through there from the beginning because the car just has, even in my Starlet, you had to really build up to get to the point of going through there flat. But with this, you just have the confidence from the get-go. But it's a lot, it actually more resembles, I find it's more resemblant of a front-wheel drive car than a rear-wheel drive car. So when you go through low-speed corners, it would more react like a front-wheel drive car.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like if you come too hard into the corner and you throttle it through too much, it would more tend to understeer. At least how mine is set up now, it would more tend to understeer than oversteer. So that was a.
You would probably prefer the opposite.
Yeah.
Or I guess just from because it's what you'd be used to.
Yeah, I guess I'm accustomed to the back coming out and being able to steer the car that way. But these cars are built to be driven differently. These cars are built to be driven more, in line. You're not tossing them out or having to rough them up per se to get the cars to do what you want them to do. I remember during the rally, spoke to Matt Edwards, and he said that the best way to drive these cars is like a track car. It's brake, turn, accelerate, brake, turn, accelerate. It's not if you're trying too hard to
and like upsetting the car and the braking and all that. Like
you're probably going to be going slower at that point than if you just be smooth and consistent.
Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe that's. I mean, there's lots of reasons, and he's obviously just highly skilled. But maybe that's part of the reason why Zane is so fast in them so quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he's highly talented, but obviously like that, how these cars are designed to be driven, and obviously his style.
I think that's probably for both him and Stuart.
True.
Both of them have a long history of track racing, go-karting, and that's very precise driving.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it could also be why Jeff has had difficulties.
Yeah, maybe.
Just in terms of driving style.
Yeah.
And back end slipping out and not being as direct.
Yeah. That's possible.
And those, when you look at any footage I've seen, when you look at Stuart and Zane as well, they're very, very, it's very clean. So, it's not nothing dramatic.
It's just
braking very late, getting on the power at the right time. And, carrying the speed through the corners and what's not. So, but yeah, so it's a different type of driving. So someone from the outside would look at it and maybe say, man, the Starlet was so much more exciting, or they might say, man, you must be missing the Starlet. But the sensation you get from driving this car is amazing because you're carrying more speed through corners. You're braking so much later, so it's just a different feeling, but a very satisfying feeling.
So you don't really miss the Starlet that much?
Right now, no. I did clean it off over the weekend because it was a little dusty.
You took it for a little rip?
Any plans for it?
Not really. I have to actually get the differential fixed because I broke the diff last time I drove it, and as you could imagine, my mind was on other things.
Yeah.
I started for the last 2 months, but I have to get it repaired. But my plan is to get that fixed and just keep it clean there. I would love to send it to Corbin's and let them once over for me. Those guys just know how to work the magic on those cars. And just put it in the garage there for the time being. And
nice.
I just I'll probably give it.
But I guess
for her first car or something like
that. I think that's reasonable. Yeah. You might just have to move your seat up a little bit. Yeah. I'm sure she'll fit. Well, listen, dude. I mean, obviously, congrats on the results in Rally Barbados, both from the overalls and the R5 perspective. I think obviously we're very excited that one, to have you in the championship, and two, like we expected. You seem to have got up to speed pretty quick, so it's going to be exciting to see how you develop as time comes. How are you feeling going into? We've got a couple of rounds left this year. How do you feel, kind of trying to close out the championship?
Just really ready to go. I would just like to drive this weekend, honestly.
That's the feeling you get.
That's the feeling I have now.
Driving,
Like I just feel like I just want more and more time in the car. So I'm really looking forward to the next event. I don't have the perception that I'm going to come out there and start to dominate, because I know that's not the case. I have a long ways to go to get up to speed. But I just want to start to learn the car, learn the setup, get it right. Take advice from the other guys who have the experience with these cars, and see if I can get up to battling for first place at some point, and just enjoy it. So I really look forward to it.
Good. Well, we can't wait for that.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Good.
Josh, thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks,
Appreciate
guys.
it.
Cool.
Good.
No problem.